Hey, hello there, people, fellow hunters, fellow outdoorsmen, fellow people that like to go outside. Here we have the struggling hunters. You got me, Joe. You got Eric out there. Say, give us a hi, Eric.
Hey, how y'all doing today?
Hopefully everyone's doing good. We will start this off by saying thanks. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. We're going on to episode 12 here. All everyone that listens to us, you make us feel like big fish in a big pond or little pond. Anyways, just to thank you. And one of our goals is, doing this podcast is we hope that it's just you guys can take an hour or whatever these end up being, 30 minutes, an hour out of your life and sit down and or drive as you're driving down the road or whatever it is. You listen to us and just feel like you're, sitting talking to two old boys around the campfire back at camp after a long hunt, a long hike, a long scout, and just be able to, hopefully you can laugh with us, laugh at us if you have to. We don't care. Um, but again, just, hopefully you guys just enjoy the time that we spend with you, and because we enjoy our time that we spend with you through this virtual world of either podcast or YouTube. But with that being said, we're going to go ahead and dive into what we got going on tonight. So I'll start it off. I don't know if you guys noticed. So you on the podcast side of things listening, I'll describe maybe a little bit. So as I'm sitting here in front of the camera recording, those that can visually see me, I got a big or a change. I cut my hair. I chopped it off. Did that last night. So it's been growing it out for about 2 years and 4 months, 3 months, somewhere in there. And I've been growing it out to donate it to be used to make a wig for those that lost their hair. And you're supposed to have 8 inches. So that was my goal as I started off. It was 2018. I think it was February, end of February. I began growing my hair out. And they want you to have 8 inches or more to donate. And I ended up with 12. So
Nice.
So I'll go ahead and for those of you that can see on YouTube, give a little, what do you call it, walkway show with Joe's hair. So we're a lot shorter.
Nice and short there.
Yeah.
It's crazy. You look way different than last week for sure. I was shocked you sent me that picture last night, and that blew me away. I couldn't believe it that you actually did it. You didn't warn me about it or nothing. Just surprised me with the cut off. I was like, holy crap, he actually cut it.
Yeah. It was Jen. My wife had an appointment set up, and she's like, "You want to cut it?" I was like, "Oh." Kind of mixed feelings, I told her, I probably should have named it. It was, like I combed it out every night and petted it every night. Should have had a name for it, but
yeah.
But it's been a part of me for the last 2 years. People I've had fun with it. People at work joking with me over it. Call me Fabio and or whatever. It was fun, but it was also nice to be able to have kind of 2 years to, I guess, in a way to think of my mom every day, because that's why I did it, was to donate in memory of my mom, who passed away of cancer almost 6.5 years ago. But yeah, so like I said, it was, being able to think of her and the legacy she left behind, and trying to be, the man she would want me to be, and trying to be the mom or the person she was, Um, but yeah, so it was it was fun.
Yeah.
Jen was asking me like, "You ready to cut it?" I was like, "Oh, it's kind of odd because like the whole time I've been doing this, I knew the time was gonna come. I knew I was gonna cut it.
Yeah.
Like it was gonna come at some point, and but so and you kind of get attached because it's work. It's a goal, it's a commitment,
Yeah.
and I spent like the first year of my hair growing out getting to the point to where after that point it can be counted towards being cut off. So I had all my hair had to grow to a certain length to be able to fit in a ponytail, and then be able to start counting that length. So it wasn't like right away it was like, oh, in a year I'll cut my hair because it'll be long enough. It was I had to actually grow it because my hair it wasn't much longer than it is now when I started.
Right.
And so when I hit the point of being long enough to cut, it's kind of one of those deals. Is like, well, every bit of growth now all goes towards a wig. Like it's all bonus.
Yeah.
And so I was kind of like, oh no, just keep going. Like because it's just more I can donate. But it was time, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. Man, that was one heck of a commitment though that you had, and I mean, it had to have been a little bittersweet, a little bit of sentimental value, some attachment.
Right. I almost didn't want to give it up, or don't want to give it up.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you had such a look to you that, I mean, it was kind of like your new identity a little bit.
That's true.
So I don't know. Yeah, it definitely looks different, but it's also good to see you all clean cut.
Yeah,
And,
it feels good. It definitely a change.
your head has to feel a little lighter, huh?
I should have weighed myself because I'm sure there's a whole couple ounces I lost.
Yeah, yeah. I'd be curious to know if it was, how much it was.
I still have it actually, so I should weigh it.
Yeah.
But it was fun at work too. Like one of the guys is the first guy at work that I worked with. He looks at me and goes, "What happened to Fabio?" He's like, "Oh, I retired him."
Oh man, yeah, that's well, I think it was for a great cause, and I mean, I'm happy that you made that commitment and you did that for your mom, and someday there's gonna be maybe a little girl. I mean, a little girl like wearing your hair. So
right. No, I feel.
Or an older girl, but still, or a dude.
Right, somebody, and I just hope that that gives them the confidence that they're lacking. Or hopefully help give someone something that they're looking for to be happy about themselves or what they're going through, because it sure sucks. It's not fun. And I think maybe I'll do it again. Like what I wanted to do, I didn't do it. I slept, but I wanted to like take pictures of. I can probably still do it. Maybe I will put together a collage of pictures that I've the hunts over the 2 years and whatever else I've got pictures of, and just kind of like put it out there that this I donated my hair, and this is if I don't know if you have it or not, but this is what my hair did, and hopefully, just activities and stuff that I did, and think about it. The wig that you're wearing could have been the hair that was out doing this hunt or this activity.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea to put all the pictures over the last couple of years together and kind of make some kind of slideshow or something.
Right? Yeah, maybe I will work on that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just think it'd be. I kind of think of me in their shoes, and happen to get a wig. It's just if they feel like they have to or want to, because it's not a fun time in your life to to even have to think of, doing that. And you just want to be normal. And, just putting it out there just to give someone, as they choose their wig or, from real hair to think, like that hair was on someone that was doing something. I just think it'd be kind of fun.
Yeah. You should kind of tell the people what, I know it's kind of future work and maybe kind of dropping the ball a little bit or whatnot as far as letting people know early, but I think it's pretty important of what your sister and you guys want to try to do for a nonprofit organization in the future. I mean, maybe kind of drop a few hints about that.
So there's actually, my sister has a page set up, and she's had that. My hair is actually going, I'm going to give it to her, but she wants to, so she's trying to set up a nonprofit fit place. There's actually a Facebook page. It's called This One's for Patty. And that's, my mom's name was Patty. And so she wants to start an organization that allows hair or wigs to be made, and then people donate money to make a wig, and then that wig gets given to someone that needs a wig, and they don't have to pay for it. And that's what we're trying to work towards at some point to get going. And it's, Patty, like I said, was my mom, and she passed away due to breast cancer, but it was a 10-year battle. It was stage 4. And so some people, I guess, don't last 10 years, and somehow she did. She was a fighter, left a kind of a legacy on how to go through a hard time, but keep pushing and trying to do better and, live life the best you can with what you got.
Yeah.
It's one of the things is thinking back and trying to remember, she never, I think, she complained, and, but it wasn't really, not, I don't know. It wasn't like, to bring pity to her to show off that she's having a hard time or anything. But if anything, she did more giving than she should have in her situation. She was always right up to, I think, till she couldn't. She was making meals and delivering to people in the area that would need them.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Really? She's making meals and delivering them to people until she couldn't do it. Wow.
And so it was kind of it was kind of a fun. When my mom passed, it was I mean, it was hard losing her. It wasn't the funnest, or it's not really something you want to go through, but knowing that we'll see her again, on the other side, and this is just a probationary state in the world, what we believe, and but it's just hard, losing her to on this side of life.
Yeah.
But so one of the ladies that in the ward that my mom, mom passed, we're going through getting ready for the funeral, trying to figure all that out, getting the casket, putting together an itinerary for the funeral services and what's going on. People would bring food to us, and there was a basket. My mom would try to take food in baskets, and then they just keep the basket. And one of the ladies, or one of the families my mom took a basket of food to, brought us back a basket of food. The basket that my mom took to them.
Oh, wow.
So that was kind of I guess a fun little thing, but yeah, I don't know really where I was going. I don't know if I was making some sense, but
yeah, no, man, that's it's great to hear you talk about it, though. Talk about your mom and what you guys are trying to do. I mean, I think that's one of the best things. I just think that's the neatest thing that, you guys obviously lost your mom through cancer, and it's horrible. But instead of, not doing nothing about it, like, you guys are trying to make slowly but surely create an organization to help other people with cancer.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think that's neat, man. That's I don't know if this saying's the best saying for the topic, but making making lemonade out of lemons, like, you guys are, and I hope it gets big, man, because I know that's something that I want to be a part of too as it gets bigger. And I'm just honored to know you guys, and hopefully be able to help and donate money or whatever it takes, time or whatever, and help your guys' organization grow to something in the future. And I don't know, and I think it's neat the sacrifice that you had to make for the last 2 years. I know it's just growing long hair, but believe me, whenever I don't get a haircut for a month, I get pretty I can't hardly stand it. So I mean,
Right.
it does have its own sacrifice. So
Well, like kind of along that note too, like, as I went through, like, as you do it, like you said, you get your hair starts growing out, and you're like, oh, I don't look too good. And like for me, I kind of took that as like oh, I don't know what the proper word is, or the words to be used, but or I use that as like, my mom went through times of her life where she didn't feel too good about herself, going through being sick and not being, like losing hair, not being probably not even, I don't know everything she went through or how she felt, but I can only speculate and kind of put myself in her shoes. And if I had growing out my hair and having bad hair days or whatever was nothing compared to what she had to go through. So I just kind of use that as like a like a motivator. There's like it's mine's only temporary with how I'm looking, and I can do something about it. But mom didn't get to have that option. She had to bear that cross on her own, not on her own, but through her own way of dealing with it. And she wasn't able to just lay it down and continue without it.
right.
But
Yeah, I don't know. Topics like this is always hard to find the right words to say, but all I can say is I'm just proud of you for making that commitment. And you really will make somebody's day whenever your hair gets turned into a wig, and you'll make
yeah,
somebody's day, and they'll be able to wear that through their fight. And I don't know, I mean, sometimes, I mean, that's all you can do sometimes, just try to lessen the pain and suffering, and try to hopefully give them as many good days as they can, and hope that they can fight through it. And
right. No, yeah.
so,
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm horrible at saying the right things, but
No,
but I do, man, seriously, like, I mean, I really do appreciate you guys, what you guys are doing. And I mean, it's really cool. And seeing you guys do that, I mean, I'm cheering you on all the way, cheering you and your sister on. And
yeah.
is it kind of the whole family that's trying to do their part?
Yeah, it's it's in the growing stages, and it has been. It's Becca has been trying to grow it and to do make something happen with it, and it's just being that we've never been there before. Trying to make sure everything's legit, and so that way people don't think we're trying to take advantage of them. Making that's kind of an area that we don't so that's not saying we don't understand it, and trying to work through, she's trying to work through some of the kinks, but I think we'll get there at some point as soon as we kind of, it's one of those things too, pulling the trigger on and actually saying like we're going to start focusing on this a little bit more to make it happen, and we're getting there. but she's getting there. It's just a new growth point, trying to understand.
Yeah. Well, as far as this goes, and just letting, I mean, I think the first step is just, trying to let as many people as you can know about it. And, because I think a lot of people want to help and do whatever they can to help whenever they can. I'll tell you that, whenever, okay, so like going to a convenience store and they're like, hey, do you want to donate $1 to blah, blah, blah? It's
Mm-hmm.
kind of hard to always say yes to that. And then there's a reason why. That I broke it down to is like, I'm like, I don't want to just do $1. And also it's kind of the trust thing too, right? I'm like, is this really $1 that's going to some organization for children or whatever? Or is
Right.
it like some kind of, like, there is kind of a trust thing there, but also it's like, I mean, I know collectively, like if everybody donated $1, it'll add up to something huge,
Right.
but it's like, I want to do more, I want to be able to do more and be involved in a bigger way than just donating $1 at a convenience store. And so, something like this, like, you know, uh, I mean, as it grows, I imagine one thing is, if you're doing all right yourself, you can, maybe pay for a whole wig, and that, that wig goes to somebody, and that you gave somebody a wig, like your money helps somebody out. So I think that's huge. And I think it'll go somewhere, just can't give up on it. And that's why I was kind of like hesitant to say if you wanted to talk about it or not, because I know it is at the beginning stages and you guys are just trying to work through the kinks right now. But as it does get, as the organization gets bigger, what's the organization again?
The Facebook page that we have right now is This One's for Patty.
Okay, yeah. So as this one for Patty gets bigger and starts to get more popular, we'll definitely promote it on here and try to do what we can to get people over there to help donate or be a part of the cause. And I mean, I don't have any doubts that it'll go somewhere. I mean, I know your whole family and you guys are all good peeps. So,
Yeah.
I think it'll be cool to see it happen.
True. And it'll be fun. Like I said, it's right now. The end goal is we just don't want people to pay for a wig, and so if whatever monetary gains right now are going towards it, we'll be working, doing our lives on top, donating the time, whatever we have off of our work to make sure like all the proceeds are going straight to making wigs for people that need them right now. But
yeah, well, yeah, that's awesome, man. And like I said, I mean, I don't think it's much of a question, but I know I'll try to do whatever I can to help out and spread the word, or
right, that's
volunteer time or whatever. I mean, whatever
yeah,
it takes. So
yeah. Yeah, so I guess I'll go ahead and I'll end that topic there. I mean,
yeah,
we can
yeah. I know it's kind of hard.
on,
It's kind of a hard transition to sit there and talk about that, and then transition to something a
back,
little more
right back,
lighter. Yeah.
right. But so we'll go back into, I guess, back on the topic, what we were kind of wanting to hit tonight. So Eric is kind of had an exciting last couple of days. Not only did he have a new baby girl, but he also got a new baby toy, new grown-up toy, I guess I should say.
Yeah.
You want to talk a little bit about that, Eric?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and talk about it. It's I got me a little baby since I got a baby. I got myself a little baby the other day, and I got a new 30-06 rifle. It's nothing too fancy, but the reason I pulled the trigger, no pun intended. I love those little catchphrases like that. but anyways, the reason that I did it was because it was just such a good deal. I couldn't pass it up, and
It moved into your crosshairs.
it moved into my crosshairs. Exactly. There you go. Keeping it alive, keeping the punchlines alive. But anyway, yeah. So, uh, uh, I got a new rifle, 30-06. It's a Savage Axis. Um, it's one of those budget guns as is, but it was on clearance at Walmart, and I was like, man, for the price, why not? I mean, it was such a good deal. So I said, even if it's not the best gun in the world, it's at such a good price, it's still kind of a win for me. And because let me backtrack. So I kind of made the decision last year that I was gonna save up a little bit of money and get a nicer gun, like maybe a Weatherby or maybe even a Tika. I think that's what they're called. Something like that, like just something a little fancier. Something that would last me forever and whatever, but I came across this gun, and I'll just go ahead and say the price is it was $175 without the scope. There was just the gun by itself, but for $175, I was like, I can't pass that up. I mean, that's just such a good deal. And I was already in the hunt for one, so I went ahead and got it. And yeah, so I did my background check. So Colorado, I don't know what other people listening to this, your state might be different, but I'll kind of let you know what Colorado's like. Pretty easy still, a little different than the last time I bought a gun was whenever I was living in Idaho.
Yeah.
And I mean, I had to wait like 10 minutes. That's how fast it was, and it was quite a while back. I mean, like I said, it was about 10 or so years ago. So it was quite a while back whenever I bought that gun, but I bought that gun a long time ago, and it was 10 minutes and I was out the door with my new gun. This gun, I went in, or I saw that, and I was like, hey, yeah, I think I kind of want to buy that gun. And I went in, started doing the paperwork, and they say 3 days, and usually I think it is 3 days usually. I have a CDL hazmat for my job, and
Okay.
so I get a background check every 4 years. So I'm in the system, I mean, I'm always getting background checked basically every 4 years.
Oh, it
And
almost sounds like you're doing something bad.
no, just for my job requirements. And
And two, it's almost like it's a habitual thing. I get background check all the time. It's all right.
yeah,
I can handle it.
I see how that could get little crossed in people's mindset. But no, it's for work. I get the background check every 4 years. So mine came back pretty quick, but they were telling me, they're like, yeah, it'll be like a 3-day wait for you to get it. And so I did this Friday, and then Monday afternoon I get a call from them. They're like, yeah, come on down. I thought I wouldn't have gotten it until either Tuesday or Wednesday. And they called me Monday afternoon. They're like, yeah, you're good to go. You got approved, blah, blah, blah. So I got my background check in pretty fast. Or I got approved, I guess, pretty fast. But that might be part of it is the fact that I've gotten those background checks before. So anyways, I went down, grabbed it, I was pretty excited. Today I went out and I put my scope on it last night, and I took my rail off my old gun. I had to leave the front rail on the 30-06 because the bolt patterns didn't line up.
Was there already a rail on your new rifle?
Yes, there was rails on it, but it was the rails were longer than my scope, than my Vortex scope. So
Okay.
I had to get like an extender, which I had on my old gun. I had a little rail extender, and I put that on the front, and then the back had the original.
So I think sorry. The rail on the gun you got was longer or was your scope longer than the rails?
My scope was shorter than the rails.
Okay. And
So
what the rails was set on,
yeah, so
and
the rings would only go out so far, and I needed probably like another inch or two, inch and a half, for the rings to set on the rail. And
okay.
so my old gun, I had the rail I had an extender on it, or it was a little longer, so I was
Okay.
able to kind of put it together, right? So I was able to kind of hobble it together with the rail that came with the gun, and then the front one I had to replace with the old rail that I had on my other gun. I thought it would work. Went out to go shoot today, and I couldn't get my scope. I maxed out on my adjustments on my scope, and I was like, I got a problem here. And I started looking at my rails, and my rail that went with the gun was was shallower, or more shallow than
Wasn't
the
as tall, was
yeah,
shorter,
yeah, it wasn't as tall
or thick.
as or thick.
It wasn't a thick cut steak.
It wasn't a thick cut steak. It was more of a slim, thin slice
Okay.
than the one that I took off my old gun. So it kind of tilted that scope to where the scope was, like pointed up in the air more than it should have been, right? It wasn't like completely level with the gun. So whenever I realized that, I shot it a few times, and I was like, I was kind of frustrated or whatnot, but went down to Sportsman Warehouse, and I was like, okay, I need a new rail. And they hooked me up with a single piece rail. So it kind of,
Okay.
it's really nice rail. I'm pretty proud of that too, because I can adjust, I can move it around if I need to. I can kind of set the scope wherever I need to set it. And I mean, where they set it is just fine. I probably won't ever do it, but it looks cooler with a single piece rail too, instead of the 2-piece rail. So I'm kind of glad I got it. It looks a little sharper, I think, with it on there. And so those fine details that make all the difference, right?
Right.
So
It makes you feel good makes you so you can sleep at night.
right, yeah. So anyways, try not to bore you any more than I already have, but I got the rail on there, got it bore sighted, went back out to the gun range. My gun range is just a public gun range. I mean, or it just goes out
Out in the hills.
out in the hills. Yeah. Well, I mean, there's kind of a place designated for it, but it's not like a legit gun range. It's just kind of a place where everybody goes and shoots. We have a few of those, but I just like to go out, do that. Usually I'm by myself.
I've always found that if I hit the gun range here in Bountiful, and I got like a bunch of people around me, I always find myself like flinching when the other person shoots. So like I'm not shooting too good, because like there's a bunch of shooting going off, and I get to where then I start anticipating my shot. And yeah, so being out by yourself kind of, like I like doing that, because I can feel like I can just settle into my gun and not have my nerves all on edge and anticipating when the guy next to me or two down from me is going to be shooting.
I kind of have a story of what turned me off to those gun ranges. I went
Uh-huh.
to one a while back. Well, this was quite a while back. I went to one. It was pretty well packed. I went with a group, and everybody was shooting. I was kind of waiting for my turn. And finally, like, everybody's like, all right, hey, Eric, get in here and shoot a couple. And because I was with a group, so I was kind of letting everybody else shoot before I got in there. So I sat down, I get all ready and everything. And then somebody yells, I can't remember, they're like, hold fire. And I'm like, I haven't even got to shoot yet. So it kind of turned me off to go to those, because, like, especially when they're real busy like that, because of that reason. Like I like barely sat down. They're like, hold fire, because they were going to go check out their targets and, adjust them, put new paper on them or whatnot. And I was like, okay, like, I had to wait for a while, like, it kind of ticked me off. So I was like, I'd rather just go find a pull out that, is kind of designated for a shooting like that, and just kind of do my own thing. I can shoot as much as I want or shoot as little as I want. It doesn't, doesn't affect me. They have nice tables, and stuff, you know, the tables are nice or whatnot, but it kind of just kind of irritates me that, you know, I get there and I'm getting ready to shoot, and, you know, I've been waiting for a while, and then I finally get ready to shoot. Hold fire. Come on, man. so I mean, I'll go to a public gun range and stuff, but yeah, like especially if I'm just testing out a new gun and stuff, it's just easier to do it kind of out by myself anyway. But so anyways, I went out there, I started shooting, and I dialed it in at 25 yards, really, really good. And then I mean, I was really happy at 25 yards. Oh, speaking of, I did make a little bit of video that I was going to edit and kind of put on our YouTube channel for the struggling hunters, and that way people could kind of see the gun. You know, I don't know if it's the best quality video. I mean, my mindset was mostly getting the gun sighted in, so the video is kind of secondhand, but I tried to take a little bit of video and talk about it a little bit. So be looking out for that on the YouTube channel. But I went and shot it, you know, 25 yards was good. I went out to 100 yards, and that's whenever I started having problems. And I hope it's not the fact that I bought a $175 gun from Walmart. I mean, to be completely honest, I hope that's not the problem. But I think what a lot of the problem was there's a couple things is I shot quite a bit of bullets through it. So, you know, I probably need to clean my gun, for one. For two, it was kind of hot out today, is, you know, around 85 degrees out there. Plus the barrel, I think, was getting pretty hot at this point. You know, it's the afternoon, hottest part of the day. The barrel's getting hot from me shooting so much. But whenever I took it out to 100 yards, yeah, I just wasn't getting the grouping that I was getting at 25 yards. So I hope it's a couple factors. I hope it's not the gun, and it's a couple factors of the barrel getting hot, and maybe me getting a little fatigued from shooting. And I also had some wind out there. I mean, it's hard to think that the wind would have a lot to do with it, you know, but maybe.
Right.
And,
well, that's, you know, it kind of gets, God, you can kind of get, I don't know what's the word, geeking out, you know, like trying to figure out what exactly it was that went wrong. And it seems like, you know, one of the things when you're shooting at that 25-yard target, you know, it's not that far from the edge of your barrel to the target. So, you know, the bullet, the angle that it's traveling isn't magnified. Right. And then when you get out to 100 yards, you know, the way that trajectory of the bullet's going is going to be amplified, magnified. It's going to, you know, going to show the direction that it's flying a lot clearer. And I guess, you know, one of the things you can add that I kind of do to kind of help my mind understand what's going on is, you know, like a gate, opening and closing a gate. So the closer, you know, so the hinge or the pivot point on a gate, and then you have, trying to think of a way I can explain it to make sense. And the point that the other end of the gate that you know, closed, makes the gate be closed. And then say you have like a 20-foot gate, and where that pivot point is on the gate, and the gate goes to swing open, is going to be so that distance. So all right, I'll back up. So the pivot point where your hinge is, it may only have to move 1/8 of an inch. So just a little bit of a turn, which isn't all that much on the hinge side, but yet on the other side of that gate, that might be, you know, a foot or so distance from the gate being closed or open. So if you try to take that back to shooting at the 25 yard versus the 100, you know, the bullet hasn't had that long to travel outside of the barrel yet, and the further down range that bullet goes, the more of the story of the direction the bullet's going to tell you it's flying down range. So the further away the bullet is from the the barrel is going to be, flying further and further to the left, or flying further and further up, or further and further down.
Right. Yeah, I get
If that makes sense.
Well, I definitely get what you're saying, and that does make sense. I mean, the pivot point of the gate, if it falls out of whack, I mean, anybody that's opened the gates probably had it happen where, it closes fine forever, and then one day one of the hinges or both the hinges kind of tweak just a little bit, then it doesn't close as fine anymore because it pivots off, and it could be, like you said, up to a foot. That makes sense. Another way to explain it, I think, and I feel like this might have happened to me because I was about an inch high at 25 yards. I was probably an inch high, but I put the bullets right on top of each other. So I was grouping really nice. So I think I might have focused on that a little bit more. I was like, wow, my group is so tight, right? And I kind of totally sloughed off the fact that it was about an inch high at 25 yards. I moved it out to 100, and then I was a lot higher. I don't know how many inches, but I was a lot higher than that. I'd say 5+ inches higher at 100 yards, and it was off to the right. So what you're saying is, if you're an inch high at 25 yards, you could be that 5 or more inches high at 100 yards.
Right.
And that's kind of what was happening to me. But I also think, but I didn't have a lot of consistency either. That was the other weird thing about it, is the grouping was a lot further apart too. So I was at 25 yards, the bullet holes were right on top of each other. And then whenever I moved it out to 100, and this is where I think the heat of the barrel was my problem, or one of my problems, because the grouping kind of spread out a lot more too. So in the end, I mean, I think what I'm going to do to kind of make sure that I'm good, or I hope that I'm good, is this weekend I'm going to try to get out a little earlier, like Friday morning probably. I'm going to get out a little earlier and go shoot again. And I'll clean my gun, do all the maintenance on it and everything before I go out. And then I'll go shoot, hopefully in the morning, try to get a couple good groupings, and then kind of maybe pay more attention to how hot my barrel's getting. Cause it was definitely hot. I mean, I'd touch it and, it was definitely warm, and I was like, I feel like this is probably the problem, but I wasn't too impressed with the 100 yards. But I don't think it was the gun. I think it was kind of me, and the fact that the barrel was getting overheated at that point. Cause I shot, quite a bit of bullets through it today. So.
Right. And I know, I don't know for sure, but I know sometimes, like, you get a new gun, and they'll pack grease in the barrel or around the barrel and whatnot, so to keep it from rusting. And that, I don't know if it burns off within the first couple of shots, or not. But one of the things I do know is, once you get your gun sighted in, is they call it fouling your barrel. And I guess I'm kind of going another direction, as to after you get your gun sighted in.
Yeah.
And it's kind of, one of the things that fascinates me is, I used to always think that you want your gun barrel as clean as possible. And that's going to give you the most accurate shot that you're going to have the whole time that you're shooting, is that first couple shots before your barrel gets dirty. Well, over the years of paying attention to what other shooters say, and what other hunters, talking about, and I've kind of, my mind has changed, and people have, talked about, like, my gun is the most accurate during shots like 6 and 7 or 10 and 12, is when the group is the tightest. And then after that, I mean, I'm sure you're talking, you're talking maybe a quarter of an inch difference within those shots, or an inch, which is still a kill shot. But as your barrel gets dirty, the combustion pressures change, because the friction's different, what as your bullet's going down your barrel. So that's one thing, like as I've gotten, I guess, more shooting savvy and trying to understand is, like, yeah, you might want to fire 2 or 3 shots in your gun before you actually kind of pay, I of course pay attention, but, like kind of take those as like kind of a warm up shot and see where you're hitting, but not do any adjustments with your gun until, a couple shots into it to see. But I don't know, again, I don't know if that's like an inch difference or an eighth of an inch or 16th of an inch in your grouping. I'm not sure, but if you're, trying to get technical about how your gun's shooting, that's something you can pay attention to as well.
Right. That makes sense. Oh, the other thing too, another factor is I bought the cheapest bullets I could find. So
I think that has some to do with it. But that's one thing too. When I was shooting my rifle, I went and so I've done 2 things. I've shot my own ammo, reloaded my own ammo, and fired that through it. And then I've bought store-bought ammo and done that. And the one thing I haven't done lately with store-bought ammo is buying different brands of ammo and seeing which one shoots better. 10 years ago, 12 years ago, I was buying factory ammo at the time, and I bought different boxes, I think with 2 or 3 different brands, and I found that my gun was shooting better with the federal ammunition.
That's what I bought.
And for whatever reason, my groupings were better, and I'd buy the Winchester and the Remington ammunition, I think it was, and I'd have slingers, out, and then I got into reloading for a little bit, and then I found what bullet weight I wanted to shoot, and within that bullet weight, I would load different size loads of grains of powder,
Mm-hmm.
and then I'd shoot a group of 3 and see which grains of powder shot the best grouping, and then that's what I would reload my bullets with that amount of grains of bullet, with that grainage of bullet that I found shot better.
Mm.
But now I just I've kind of backed off. I was starting to, getting mad because I was wanting to go further in understanding reloading.
Yeah.
And I wasn't quite understanding how to do some things. It was getting me frustrated. So I kind of backed off. I have backed off of reloading and haven't really focused on that so much. And I've gotten into shooting Barnes bullets, and I can't remember the other ones, but kind of a little bit on the higher end price. But those are what I hunt with. Like I'll buy the cheaper ones when I'm shooting. And then but again, I haven't taken the time to shoot those more expensive bullets and compare them to a cheaper one. I've just, I paid more for them, and they're pretty proud of what their bullets are doing. And other hunters and big game hunters on YouTube and whatnot are using that brand of bullets. They seem to be having success. I just, those are just my hunting bullets only. And, they're more expensive, but I only need 1 box for a hunting season, so I guess I'm like, well, it's $40 for a season, and that's when if I'm going to shoot a better bullet.
Yeah, well, it's definitely a good investment, and that's kind of the toss up that I go through too, because I'm like, well, maybe I should buy more expensive ones, but then I'm like, well, if I want to shoot all summer long, because that's something that I'm also kind of dedicating myself to want to try doing is getting out at least once or twice a month, and shooting a few out of the gun so I get more comfortable with my gun. I'm staying sharper with my shots, and because in the past, I mean, I think a lot of people are guilty of it, is going through those years where you the only time that you shot is maybe the day before you went out hunting.
Right.
and so it just kind of always leaves an eerie feeling for me. I've done it. I've done it more than once. I think I've done it the last couple hunting seasons.
So I got a guilty story of that. 100% guilty. So my dad's hunting rifle, like, so he hunted with it when I think the last time he hunted with it was when I was, oh gosh, maybe 8.
Oh, wow.
Like 8 or 9. If that might even be pushing, I might even been younger than that. But and then we'd go out target shooting, every once in a while after that. But I can't, not that I remember everything, but I don't remember Dad ever really playing with the sights of the scope, adjusting it. So let's fast forward till the time I am 12, and I don't have I had a 30-30 at the time. I still have it, but I had a scope on it, and we played with it, and I could never really get it sighted in. And so I grabbed my dad's hunting rifle, and before the hunt, never went out shooting it. Just picked it up and went out hunting. And the first year of hunting, I shot a little spike, and that was the gun I used. And I can't say when the last time we went and took it out shooting to making sure it was sighted in.
Oh man.
And I think, so I was 12, and then as I've got older, I was 13, 14, 15, 16. I remember shooting more when I was, a little older, 14, 15, more when I was 16 to 17. I got, trying to shoot before the season happened, but I never, I remember taking my 30-30 and trying to get it sighted in. And then I took it out like that evening, and I ended up getting a buck with it, which is, for those of you on YouTube, it's this one right up above me holding my wife's little bouquet of flowers right there. Got that one with the old 30-30. But that's a 4-point whitetail. And I guess, is it okay to tell stories right now?
Yeah. Hey, let it free flow.
So it was kind of like looking back. So I bought my 30-30, or I should say, I've had it since I was like 9 or 10. And then me and my dad, me being a kid, wanting to be cool, and you got to have a scope, and I didn't know anything about ballistics. A 30-30, like everyone's, 30-30 is great. It's the most deer have been killed with 30-30 than any other gun in the history of guns. Well, yeah, because one, it's been around longer than any other gun. But I'm not trying to take away from the ballistics. The ballistics, I believe, if I remember correctly, are on par with the 300 Win Mag, clear up to 100 yards. And after that, it's kind of like done for. That's the max it can do. But on top of that, like I wanted a scope. I got a gun. Everyone else has a scope on their guns, and had I realized what it was, and I probably never would have bought a scope for it and just used the open sights. But I bought a scope, put it on it, but I bought the scope for $40. It was a refurbished scope, and I bought it at a gun show in Vegas, like a year or two after I got the gun. So I was, as I got it, I think I was like 8 or 9. And so I got the scope on it when I was 10. I think, yeah, I had to have been 10 because we moved to Idaho when I was 11. And I bought it before then. And so fast forward, first hunting season, I used my dad's rifle. The second season or second year, I can't remember. I can't keep it all straight anymore. I don't think I got anything. So then that's 13. So 14, I wanted to use my 30-30. Went out with, we had a Dodge Caravan, 1989 Dodge Caravan. And my mom grew up with brothers that hunted, and my dad was at work. So I was like, it was the summertime, or was it summer or Saturday? I can't remember now. It was during the hunt, so it was October. So it must have been a Saturday where I was out at the gravel pit, one of the gravel pits up in Woodland, and we're shooting across the hood of I think it was our Caravan, and I was struggling. I couldn't get it sighted in. I was getting frustrated, and I was still new to the sport, but I was trying to do the best I can. And my mom's like, "Oh, here, let me shoot it." And so my mom gets behind the gun, and she had this sweater, long, like a trench coat type style, but it was a sweater, like a knitted sweater, and we were stuffing that under the gun to shoot. And I think it was her or me, but the gun and her sweater got mixed up, so the sweater went up above the barrel of the gun, and one of us shot, and it blew a hole through her sweater. And I feel so bad now, like mom was pissed and frustrated. And we ended up getting, I think, it somewhat sighted in, and there's a neighbor up there that drove by, and I can't remember if he helped us or not, but he was like, "Oh, I'll take you out hunting tonight." So you're like, if you get your gun sighted in, we'll go out hunting. So I can't, at some point, like I said, I blew a hole through my mom's sweater, like her sweater she wore all the time. And now looking back, I feel pretty bad about it. But fast forward to that evening, I'm out with this neighbor, we're hunting, and we do this loop, and we loop around, and we come across, I think it was that buck, this 4-point buck. I can't remember if there was another one or if it was a doe. So I pull up on it, and I shoot it, and I hit it low in like the front leg and like the elbow, I think is what you would call it. So I blew the lower half of its leg off, and I just was like, it's still running around. And, and the guy that was with me, he had a 300 Weatherby mag. So I think he fired once at it, and then we split up because it took off running. So we split up. I went one way, he went this other way, and I don't know if he knew which way the deer went, but he was the one that ended up on it, and he shot it once or twice with his 300, and it ran downhill, and then it actually ran to the fence that was right next to the road. So we gutted it right there and picked up the fence, rolled it underneath the road, and threw it in the back of the truck.
Makes for a pretty easy night there, practically.
Yeah, that was the easiest deer I've ever packed out.
Yeah.
And we weren't even trying to do that. It was the luckiest hunt ever, too.
Yeah. That's crazy. God, I remember kind of made me think of one of my hunting stories. Shot at this doe. I was with my buddy Josh, and I have a lot of stories with actually Josh Prado.
Right.
But anyways, I was with him, and we saw this doe, and I shot it, and it ran off into the woods, and so we started trying to track it because I had a pretty good shot on it. That was so long ago. I can't remember where I shot it at, but I had a pretty good. I feel like I had a pretty good shot on it. But so anyways, it ran off in the woods. We went back like maybe 20 yards is all, so it didn't run very far from us. And I wounded it pretty good because it was just laying down, but we couldn't find it. We were like walking around, like, kind of like walking around in a circle. We're trying to find a blood trail. And out of the blue, the thing like screamed at us. And yeah, I mean, like did some kind of, I don't know, did some kind of deer sound. I don't want to try to mimic it, but did some kind of deer sound and pulled up and shot it in the head. And
Ooh,
that was it died instantly after shot it in the head, but man, that was kind of an ugly sight though. What
I bet.
I don't know. I shouldn't probably be talking about it on the podcast, but it was kind of an ugly sight, like what it did to the poor doe's head, man. Kind of, I remember it like kind of, put a pretty good sized hole in its head, and its eyeball like poked out, like fell out of her head, and uh,
Oh,
man, I don't know. I always have those crazy stories about that kind of stuff. It seems like, and it's always on poor little does, man. I shot a lot of does back in the day just because I was always kind of more looking for meat more than horns back then.
right.
Now that I'm older, it's kind of I don't know. I heard a perspective a while back on trophy hunting, and
Yeah.
like if you work all year long in a sport, right? Let's say football, you work hard all
Yeah.
year long, and at the end of the year you win whatever, you win your state championship or whatever, and they give you a trophy at the end of the game. Are you going to turn that down because you were trophy playing? You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah.
And so like if you think about that with animals, that we've been kind of trained over the years to like, think that the term trophy hunting is kind of a bad word, but it's really not. I mean, you're putting in all this work and you just want something to be proud of that you could look at years later and go, oh yeah, this story,
Right.
and I mean, so it's not a bad thing. And my perspective, so I kind of fell in, like, it wasn't that I like looked down. I mean, I don't care. I'm a hunter and I want to kill things with horns, but it's not that, but it like got to me. Like I was always afraid to say the term trophy hunting is what I'm trying to say. And but after I heard that perspective about, the horns is like, just represents the work that you put in and the effort, and you don't always walk away. I walked away with so many does back in the day. You don't always walk away with a set of horns from the season. So once in a while, whenever you get a set of horns, I mean, what's the big deal if I mean, I wouldn't sit there and brag to everybody like, oh, I'm a complete trophy hunter. But I mean, there's nothing wrong with saying that you want a trophy at the end of the year after your hunt.
No. Well, and it's like one of those things. So, like as for me, like my goal is to become a more competent hunter than I am. With that, what I mean by that is I'd like to understand the woods better, and that means what I'm not that I want to be like a biologist, but like understanding how the ecosystem works a little bit better, understanding what that's going to do to the deer, what or the elk, what how try to understand a little better what's all going on in the world of the outdoors. And so, and then at some point, it's going to turn into like setting a goal that says like, no, I want to harvest an animal with X amount of points or an X amount of spread or X amount of inches of horn or something, because my understanding of the woods has gotten so much better to be able to, I guess, compete with the animals that get to grow long or bigger and be able to have a longer lifespan because if they've gotten smarter. I'm hoping I'm getting smarter to be able to play on their same playing field because I'm becoming a better hunter.
Mm.
So, but right now, like end of day, I want to fill a tag. I want to put meat in the freezer, like opening day, am I going to pass on a spike deer? I don't know. It's one of those things. I want to be able to go put my skill against something that's not as naive as a younger deer, because they don't know. A younger deer isn't going to quite know what an older deer knows. So yeah, they're a little easier to take. I shouldn't say easier, but you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, well, they can be a little easier. They make more mistakes for sure. I mean, those bigger bucks and bulls, they seem to. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the anticipation of of us as hunters that, are it's like a single guy that's really wanting to take a girl home for the night. Never works out for him. But if he goes out and hangs out and just is playing it cool, the girls kind of come to him. And that's the same thing as for hunting the big bulls. But I'm kind of getting off on the weeds here, but what I'm trying to say kind of is like it is kind of harder to get those big bucks. I mean, they do seem to hide out more. They seem to bed down in better spots, and the younger bucks, or the younger bulls, they tend to make a little more mistakes. And you said something that kind of made me think of this is kind of going back to the trophy hunt thing and the controversy behind that. I would rather shoot a massive bull than a cow. And my reasoning for that is a cow could produce however many. That's something that we need to fact check. How many calves can a cow have throughout its lifespan? But
Right.
I mean, let's say they have 4 to 6, right, on average or something. They birth 4 to 6 throughout their lifespan. If I take one bull that has a nice set of horns on it, or antlers rather, that's one bull out of the ecosystem compared to taking a cow that can produce 4 to 6 calves that could eventually be trophy bulls. So
Right.
you know what I mean? So I'd rather take a animal with horns on it than an animal without horns for that reason.
True.
And but yeah, man, I think it can be harder though. But I don't know. I don't know if it's the perspective of the hunter sometimes, like the hunter
Well,
makes it harder on themselves to get
that's true.
the big bull. That's what I was trying to say at the beginning whenever I went into that sloppy
And, I,
analogy.
and what I was trying to say is, trophy hunting is mostly is in the eye of the beholder. And if you want to chase inches or whatever it is you're looking for in your trophy, like, and that's a personal choice. Again, it's a goal. If it's a goal for yourself, then it's a goal for yourself. And I don't see anything wrong with that. And whatever it is you're happy with, that's awesome. Like you said, the horns on the wall. That's a story, whether it's a spike or a Boone and Crockett high score. Like no matter what, that's the story you're telling for the rest of your life.
Yeah, it's something you can yeah, that's like your own personal proof of your story.
Right.
It's hard to tell a fishing story if the horns are on the wall. So, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't think it's a bad thing to shoot for horns or whatever. I mean, you want the biggest of. It's not a bad thing, and it's all for conservation, and that's something that everybody needs to realize. I'm sure a lot of anti-hunters probably won't listen to this podcast, so it's not like we'll get a whole lot of kickback on the topic of trophy hunting. We'll probably have more people agree with us than not agree with us, but it's just something that they got to put in perspective too. But that's the problem is as in 2020 with all the other chaos, but going on in the world, there's a lot of people that just aren't educated about it. They just go off of their feelings with it, and they don't look at the actual facts of hunting and what it actually does for conservation. And it's kind of sad because instead we have all these arguments about how hunting's bad and all this stuff is bad, everything's bad for you, and then but they're just going off of their feelings. They're not going off of facts. Or I mean, Boone and Crockett, there's a 130-year fact sheet with Boone and Crockett about how conservation actually works for
Right.
the animals, how hunting actually works to help bring back animals the population of animals. So it's just crazy that people, people just say stuff to say stuff. It's just like whenever we were a kid and we were riding bikes on some trail next to somebody's property, or maybe it was even on somebody's property, but it was the piece of property that they didn't even use or whatever. It doesn't matter. Anytime that you find a spot to have fun at, there's always somebody that's going to try to take that fun away. That's the point that I'm getting at. It's happened all my life. Whenever I was a kid, and like I said, we were riding bikes at making jumps out of this little hill or something. Somebody be like, "Oh, there's a bunch of kids down there, and we need to get them off there." It's like
they're gonna hurt themselves.
yeah. There's always something, and it's like, hey, man, we're over here just having fun, and technically, if you want to be technical about it, you actually, if you just shut up, you're actually keeping us out of trouble because we're putting all our energy into these hills and jumps and stuff.
Right.
Something that I should probably remind myself. I noticed as I get older, like whenever I was a kid, I was like, man, let us have fun. We're just kids. Now that I'm older, I'm like, you kids be quiet.
Dang youngins, they'll spin around in their go fast cars and pumping their music, listening to God knows what.
Yeah, I know. I did all the same stuff that the kids do today, probably worse than what they do today. And now I'm getting all irritated. And man, these kids, they don't know it. They're a bunch of troublemakers, a bunch of hoodlums.
Don't want my kids hanging around them. Get out of here.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of funny how it works, man. It just works that way, I think. Used to make the most noise in the neighborhood. Now I'm like yelling at everybody that makes any noise in the neighborhood.
Right. It's 6 o'clock in the evening. Don't they know better?
Yeah. God, don't these kids have any respect?
Right. When I was their age, I was doing exactly the same thing.
Yeah, but worse.
Right.
Yeah, but I mean, God, man, we get off in the weeds on stuff, and
I know. And I keep forgetting. I was like, what do we leave out there that we need to tie up? I don't remember.
I know. We're trying to like hit a point home and really hit a point, and really stick with it. Then we start talking about kids and making noise. But yeah, man, I don't know. I don't know how we really got on trophy hunting, but
well, the root of it was talking about sighting in your gun, and then this whole thing went off.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of the style of this podcast. I mean, today, for the listeners, today was kind of like me and Joe got on. We're like, I don't know what we're going to talk about. And then we started I was like, well, I shot my gun, and we just kind of went off from there, but, started recording and talking about that. But it was, when we first got on, we're like, what are we going to talk about today? That's kind of the thing. Well, I'm glad that, we're not doing like solo podcasts, because that would be, man, I don't know how we'd ever find the content. It's easier to have us doing this and kind of feeding off of each other than just trying to do it like a solo podcast. So that's nice. But yeah, we definitely weren't prepared with a really good topic or anything for podcasting today, but I think it's worked out all right. I mean, until now. We've done all right with our podcast.
Yeah, I enjoy these little story times that we get to do. I hope the listeners get to, or I hope they do too. Like that's part of who we are and what we're about. I mean, like I said at the beginning, I hope this is feel like they're sitting around a campfire telling stories, because whether we're doing this podcast or talking amongst each other, together without a camera, this is kind of how our conversation goes anyways.
You're exactly right. And to hit something home on this is, it's something that I feel like we kind of got to remind everybody every once in a while is not that we've had a lot of positive feedback. The feedback that we've gotten has been very positive with what we're trying to do. But, the one thing that we've said from the beginning is like, we don't consider ourselves professional hunters or know-it-all hunters, or, we're just here. We're just talking about what we love doing. And that just happens to be hunting. And we're still learning as we go. We're not the man with the plan. We're not the man with the plan. We don't have all the answers. We're just, talking about our passion and trying to get better ourselves. I mean, we've learned a lot through this podcast. We've learned a lot ourselves that we're going to take with us, hopefully for the rest of our lives. And obviously, at least into next hunting season, we're going to take some of the stuff that we've talked about on this podcast and learned about on this podcast. We're going to take it on with us for our hunting season. So, that was the goal of this whole thing was, hey man, we're not the best. I mean, we're not trying to totally like take ourselves out of the game by, sitting here saying we're not the best or anything. We're barely even hunters, but but what we are saying is we just love hunting and we love to, talk with each other. Like Joe said, like, make it feel like we're sitting around the campfire, just kind of talking smack and talking about whose buck is bigger and just having fun with it. And that's really why we're here. That's the whole reason we're doing this. Just, we're having fun. We're just making content with what we know. And hopefully, with what we know, we can help a fellow hunter out with some ideas. Some people might listen to us and do exactly opposite because they think we're a couple buffoons. And some people might actually listen to us and do at least similar to what we're saying. But a lot of this, we're just learning it ourselves. And that's the fun part about it, is just learning, and I don't know, I'm just having fun doing this podcast and just keeping it light, keeping it fun. That's what it's all about. And hopefully we get better as time goes on and we do kind of get to where we're a little more confident in what we're saying. And, maybe we can consider ourselves at least semi-pros, but
true.
But for now, it's all just tongue in cheek, having fun and kicking back and talking about what we love to do. So, hopefully that interests you guys that are listening right now, hearing what I'm just saying, what Joe and I are both saying. Hopefully that interests you and you guys keep listening. But that's who we are and that's what we're doing. So that's
for
where
sure.
it's at.
Yeah, and like you said, like as I did not, I knew I didn't know a lot, but I didn't realize how much I didn't know. And then on top of that, like so this is episode 12. In the 12 episodes we've done, like, I've talked, prior to doing this, I've talked to successful hunters and people that have hunted a lot in their lives. And I've come to realize that when I'm out in the woods hunting, I take what they say, but I haven't been pushing what they said to the max. Like like in a way of saying it, like, now I realize that when I'm going out so this is just an analogy. So say like what the knowledge that's out there that I've talked to other hunters about is very vast. And so the way I see it, that I've come to an understanding of how I've hunted in the years versus the knowledge that I've been given is, say, like, it's a big forest that I'm entering. And as I've been hunting, I've been entering into this forest and kind of hunting the outskirts of it with the knowledge given to me. But I haven't entered deeper into the forest where the animals actually are. I mean, I'm not saying that I haven't, put miles in hunting, or I try, or not spending time behind the binoculars, glassing areas. I've spent a lot of time. I've hiked hundreds of miles, or maybe not hundreds, but it could be a lot of miles, out in the field hunting and scouting and trying to be a better hunter. But I haven't applied all the knowledge, or maybe stuck to the knowledge that I have been given. And doing these podcasts, I've realized that like there's this untapped areas that I haven't fully made sure I did to be a successful hunter. Like I've done them, and I think I've just done them partially. Now this season, I hope that everything, like I got in my back pocket now, I'm actually applying 100% of it, and actually to be successful, not just, well, I tried this and, it didn't happen, but, now I'm going to push harder this year than last year. And I'm not saying I'm going to hike harder, but I'm going to try to apply the information better this year.
Yeah, I think there's something to be said. Everything that you just said, I mean, I feel like in the past, trying to utilize something that we've heard from other hunters or I think one of our problems maybe is aborting that plan too fast. Jumping off the playbook too quick because the first couple plays didn't go to plan, so we just jump off the game plan altogether.
Right.
And I feel like that's probably happened with me and you. Like, I feel like we kind of get together and we're like, all right, let's try this, let's try that. And, next thing we know, we're like, this ain't working, and we've only been out like for a half hour or something. I mean, I might be being a little sarcastic there, but I feel like we kind of have jumped off the plan. Kind of like you said, like a couple years ago when we ran into those cows, we didn't really go back there at all. We just stayed back, and or we went to a whole nother area, and then this following year we never went up to that area at all again. We tried something else because we had so where we actually saw elk, even though there wasn't any bulls in that herd that we saw, we jumped off there. Oh, there's no bulls up here. And then we never went back, not even last year, to even at least check it out and see what it had to offer. So things like that, I feel like we have, mostly me. I'm trying to say we, so I don't feel alone in this, but it's mostly
No,
me.
you can put we in there because I'm guilty of that 100%. I jumping off the playbook or totally, like, oh, whatever, I'm going to go do this now.
Yeah. And I mean, I think that's part of half the game is being a little more patient and trying to stick to the game plan instead of, the first half a day we didn't get no results here. Like, let's move on to something else. I kind of feel like that area last year where we were glassing, we probably could have got away with glassing a little longer. And
yeah, and I think one of us needed to go over there because I do remember we heard something running through those woods. There was something crashing through that side. We never saw it, but there was something big running through that other side.
And he was more patient than us. And I can't figure out why, looking back, hindsight being 2020, why did we ever leave? Why did we go? Nothing here.
Right.
Hey, 20 minutes ago, we just heard something running across there, but nothing here. Like, I mean,
right.
I don't know. There might've been a reason behind it, but I can't remember what it was, but we did. We left there and kind of like just aborted. We didn't investigate really. We just kind of stood there for a while, seeing if we could hear it again. We never really did hear it again.
No, and we never saw anything move, but I mean, whatever was going through that side was big enough to crash something because there was a definite, we heard crashing and twigs snapping, and there was no, like no sheep, there wasn't something, or no little deer. Or we didn't. Did we see any moo cows last year in that area?
I don't think so. I can't.
Because I know we did 2 years ago. We ran into moo cows, but yeah. So like, I don't know what. I don't think it was a moo cow going through the woods over there.
Well, the way that thing was crashing through, I don't. Because the moo cow kind of takes its time. Yeah, moseys along. That thing was like, he must have got a whiff of us or heard us or smelt us or something, because I think we kind of startled it is what happened. because it was close enough where we could hear it really well, but
Right.
it was thick enough through there that we couldn't see nothing.
Right.
But if we would have just outweighted him or tried to anyways, waited till dark, and I mean, he might have moved again till we did see something. I mean, you never know, but it would have been interesting to investigate that a little more. Maybe
So we
even,
definitely have two areas that we can go back and try to scout, or hunt better next year.
yeah, so that kind of brings up something. So me and Joe, so Joe and I have been going to the same area in Colorado here where I hunt for the last couple of years. And the first year that Joe went with me was the first year that I went up there myself. I pretty much, I was trying to find a good place to hunt. I was hunting, in other places a couple of years before that but they were so far away. And I was like, man, I just don't want to drive this long from my house. So I kind of wanted to find, even though that's kind of a drive too. I was like, I want to find a good place that's kind of close to the house. And so the area that me and Joe been going the last couple of years was my first, or, like I've been trying to learn the land up there a little bit every year and get better and better at that. And that's one thing that, because in the future with this podcast and just wanting to hunt more in general, the one thing that Joe and I both, I can say this for Joe, because I know he wants to too, is going to other states and learning. But like doing other state hunts, you got to kind of learn the land like right away. You got to figure out that land right away. And so learning this area that we've been hunting the last couple of years, like that's something that I've been trying to kind of keep it in the back of my mind, is like, how do I learn this a little bit better? Because it's taken us 2 years and I still don't feel like I know that land that well. It's kind of big. It's a big area. And I mean, there's a lot of area there, a lot of land up there. So I mean, that is part of it, but I'm still trying to learn it. And um I don't know, it kind of makes me nervous for future, whenever we start doing out of state hunts in other places. Like,
Well, I think though one of the things that we're going to get better at is understanding the terrain that the animals live in. I think that, yeah, we're not going to maybe know the area that we're going to be hunting in, but the one thing we're going to learn is keying in where they should be.
right.
That's I think one of the focuses that we're going to have to change is, yeah, I like knowing the area that I'm going to be hunting. So to combat that is we can Google Earth and Onyx, just wearing out those apps, and then on top of that is once we key in, one of the things where we got maybe start learning or start to do is where we see the animal, trying to go, why is that animal here?
Right. Yeah.
And
Start looking at the terrain and the vegetation around there. And yeah, that makes sense. Just
then
trying to
once we figure that out, kind of go, okay, we're going to hunt, whether it's Arizona, New Mexico, going back to Idaho, or whatever we decide to do in the future. I want to do the same thing, and I want to be successful at it, because I don't want to spend, like 2 or 3 tags in that state trying to be successful. But one of the things I think we can help that trend in our favor is trying to understand why the deer are, elk are in the places they are in the states that we do frequent more, and here in Utah and Colorado, and then trying to duplicate that into other states.
Yeah, for sure. I agree with that wholeheartedly. I like the way you think, Joe.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm putting a lot of thought on, this year. It is getting closer. Joe's only literally like a month and a half away at this point.
Yeah,
And
I'm close.
and from his hunt, and hopefully we're gonna try to film some content and get that all together then, and I plan on going out there and hunting with him during that hunt. But yeah, he's only a month and a half away. I'm about 3 months away, give or take. It might be more than that, but yeah, hunting season's right around the corner. It's coming quick, so
Yeah.
we got a lot of work to do, and I'm pretty optimistic about this year, though. I feel like for both of us, we should be able to. I mean, I don't want to jinx us, but I think we'll do better. I really do think we'll do a lot better.
Yeah, and we definitely got some things that we can, check off of our hunting list. I mean, or our hunting area list. What are we seeing? What aren't we seeing? Where do we think they should be based on where they should be this time of year? What type of grasses are in season, or where's that grass in season at as far as elevation? So there's some things that we can definitely add to our playbook.
Yeah, definitely. I think you're right on the nose with that. So should be good.
I think with that being said, it's a good place to kind of stop our little session for tonight.
Yeah, it probably wouldn't be a bad idea. I think it's been a pretty good podcast. You said that you went out scouting, but you didn't really, or do you want to talk about that at all? Save it.
Yeah. I can cover. So I did a little bit of scouting on Saturday. I got up down where I'm hunting, and Saturday morning I saw one turkey. Not scouting for turkeys, but I was lucky enough to see a turkey. And in the morning, didn't see any deer. Then night came, I was back out, and I think it's the same turkey I saw where it flew up and roosted in the tree. And then the deer that I saw the week before, they weren't. So I thought that they'd be coming out in the field at the same time, and they weren't. I mean, I know they can deviate, but I was kind of thinking, oh, they're going to be exactly the same spot, but they weren't. And but I did see deer, but they were kind of 180 degrees from where they were the week before. I saw the buck right before it walked behind some trees before it got too dark to see anything.
Right.
So I am seeing deer, and hopefully, I can continue that on and be able to have a successful deer hunt.
Yeah, for sure. One question about the turkey though. You gonna try to go to that area this fall for turkey?
I'm going to definitely try. We'll see.
Are you still gonna do fall? Because your fall is kind of busy as far as deer and elk hunting. So you gonna try to do a turkey hunt too?
Yeah, because I'll probably be able to do both. Or do all three. That'll be kind of fun. Have 3 different tags in my pocket.
Oh man, I'm not hunting deer this year, but as far as elk, it'd be nice to get a turkey and an elk this year.
So when I say having 3 different tags in my pocket, that's saying if everything, I don't have any luck during the archery elk and deer season, Utah has a late season that I have to go online and take a test, late season test, and then, or not, I shouldn't say test. I don't know what you want to call it, test survey or something, but then that gives me the authorization to be able to hunt deer and elk in the late season areas, and some of those overlap with the turkeys too. So
gotcha.
I could potentially, if I have not filled my deer and elk tag, I could potentially have 3 tags in my pocket come the fall season for the turkey hunts.
Nice.
But hopefully that's not the case, and I can just focus on a turkey hunt.
Yeah. But, yeah, that'll be nice if you get all 3. I'll be taking trips to your house to try to steal all your meat.
Oh, for sure. If I get all 3, I'll for sure be giving some out.
Yeah, you almost have to, at that point.
Yeah, I'll for sure be buying a new freezer too.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, hopefully if I get one too, that'll be my problem, getting a new freezer.
Should be a problem I want to have.
Exactly. That's my point. Yep. But yeah, with that, I mean, I think, like you said a little bit ago, probably a good point to stop. So, thanks everybody for listening to the Struggling Hunters. You know, episode 12, we've done another one. It's been great. So,
It has been.
yeah, having a lot of fun, man. I can't wait until episode 100. I think that'll be pretty cool. You know, even episode 50. I don't know. I'm pretty optimistic about this podcast and where it's going. And I don't know. I think it'll be pretty exciting what the future holds for us. And hopefully after this year we can talk about our successes a little more than our struggles.
Right. But even now, our successes are going to have struggles.
Well, that's a good point. And I mean, part of the reason I feel like kind of going off in the weeds again. Sorry guys, but part of the reason for the Struggling Hunters was not because of our struggles of hunting. Like, yeah, we've kind of hit a dry spell the last couple of years, but we've had plenty of successes throughout our life and stuff. But you know, we just thought it was kind of funny. Like, we were sitting here joking around, trying to figure out what to call our podcast. And one of us said struggling hunters and kind of laughed about it. Then we're like, well, actually, it's probably the best idea we've came up with yet. So we kind of went with it. We just kind of went with it, and that's where we are today. So thanks for listening to the Struggling Hunters, guys, and we will talk to you next week.
Yep. Have a good one, guys. We'll catch you again. Can't wait.
See you on the flip side, or the flippity flop.
The flippity flip.
The flippity flip.